Hey, what's up, my brother? What's up, my sister? It's me here back again. Today, have you ever been there scrolling through Instagram and saw this guy that has very, very awesome images whereby every picture of his seems to have these kinds of details that it looks super, super sharp, vibrant, and like you wonder how they edit their pictures? Well, there are two things these people usually do. One, they shoot these pictures in very, very high resolution. Beyond high resolution, when you look at most of these pages, you realize that most of the pictures they do are headshots and they are close-up shots, in that the pixel distribution within an image is concentrated in a particular part. Unlike when you're doing full shots, when you zoom it in, because the pixels are far widespread, you won't see the skin pores and the like. But what these people do, they usually take portraits and close up, unless you have a 50 megapixel camera or a camera that has this high resolution and too many megapixels, man, you'll end up not having those particular details. But again, the post-production is also something super, super important. So in this video today, I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step on how to do post-production or editing. How do you edit skin in such a way that it maintains its details and textures? Now, that is what I'm going to do for you in this particular video. Of course, click the link in the description below to download the picture so that you can follow along. And of course, I can't wait to see your results. Tag me on Instagram, and if you've not yet followed me on Instagram, of course, that's my handle. And before we dive in, subscribe and let us get into this, all right? Okay, here we are now. Now, we're going to edit this image using frequency separation. There is a big mistake that people do who have learned how to use frequency separation. They do not do what they call image cleanup, the first kind of what I would call the first panel beating. They straight on apply the frequency separation actions, whichever actions actually you've downloaded from various channels and the like, and they just apply the action and begin editing using frequency separation. At the end of the day, they end up getting results that are not really as crisp as those ones they see on those Instagram pages and those people whose works they admire. The one step they miss is usually the first panel beating. Now, we are going to first do the basic panel beating so that we don't take the frequency separation overboard, because at the end of the day we want to maintain her beautiful skin texture. We want to maintain, this beautiful skin texture. We don't want to lose it out, and we don't want to lose out on her contours, the highlights and the like. So we are going to first do some kind of clean up and remove all these mascaras that faded away before we apply onto the the frequency separation. The frequency separation only just has to help us enhance the skin more, but not do the whole skin retouching bit, because we don't have a lot of time on YouTube, so we skip certain steps. So let us go through this. Okay, ready? So we're going to come here into, say, window, and we make sure the layer panel is showing. You just say layers. So now we have the layers panel here. So you're just going to come and duplicate this layer twice, just like that, and we are going to come and and see this. Okay, before we go into this, first of all, if you're new to this channel, subscribe. Come on, click the subscribe button, and of course leave comments below. You're going to tell me what really resonated with you. Now, if you don't know what frequency separation is, now frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that helps you edit textures of an image separately and the colors of an image separately. Basically, it subdivides an image into two different layers and puts each of the elements of the image into its different layer. So we shall have one layer. This is going to be our texture layer, and this is going to be our color layer. So we're going to work on the textures and colors separately, but let's first delete these two layers, okay? And then we're going to come and let me just remove them. So the first thing we are going to do, we are going to first do what they call panel beating by removing these most pronounced pimples, the crosshairs and the like. How are we going to do that? Let me just create a new layer here, just like that, and I'm going to call this blemishes. Yeah, blemishes. Okay, so when I select this, I'm just going to come and just zoom it in, and then I'm just going to get my clone stamp here, and then I'm just going to come here, see where you see current layer around there, and then you come and say current layer and below, because we want all the actions that we are applying on this blemish layer to be applied onto the bottom layer. So we're just going to remove those particular actions. Okay, yep. So you come and then we make sure the hardness is in 100. That is what I normally do. So the way the clone stamp works is you click here where it is where there is no pimple. You press Alt key down and then you click to select, and then you do that to paste. Click here and paste. Click here and paste. You may be wondering, why am I making the brush hard? I'm making the brush hard because I want to copy the exact skin. I don't want it to be, you know, fluffy. I don't know whether that even makes sense. Yeah. So I just want to copy exact skin texture and cover it up into that particular thing, you know. So I just come and do this. Okay, now here it is too hard, so I'm going to come here and change the tool, and I get the spot healing tool. Yep. Still here, I'll come and click sample all layers, and then just come and begin clicking and onto these particular pimples. The spot healing tool is very good for editing these small pimples. You know, it really takes, it seems like a tedious process, but when you finish the whole image, it is really worth it. It is worth every effort, because you get very fine skin tones, other than just editing them off from the, you know, frequency separation layer. Most of the times we skip those steps because some guys really don't just like watching too much long videos. And for those of you who have enrolled into my course, you know that we do this step by step. And yeah, so I remove all these crosshairs, all these, you know. Basically it takes a bit of time, but at the end of the day, the whole process is really worth it, you know, because if you don't remove these crosshairs, the whole wig turns out looking very cheap, and you don't want the wig to look very cheap. Yeah, so we remove all this stuff. So also here in the eyes, we come and remove all that stuff, all this. I mean, when you come to that step of editing skin, of doing frequency separation, you don't really have to do too much work. Okay, just like that. Let me remove also these from the teeth, and let us see what we have right now. So we've done what we call panel beating. Actually, if we were in if it wasn't for the video, this is the part where I come and fill in all these hair spaces. I come and make the hair fuller and remove all these gaps and make all this if we're doing a full retouch. Yeah, but I showcase all these things in my upcoming retouching course, the beauty retouching course that is coming up for you, because most of you guys asked for a full retouching course, so I'm working on that. So but I hope by the end of September the course is going to be up and running. I showcase all that stuff, how to make the hair fuller, and you know, basically we're going to do typical glamour stuff. So you come here. Now we're going to come and just merge these two layers. How do we do that? You press Ctrl Shift and E, just like that. Okay, now we have finished doing the panel beating of the whole image. We've done the cleanup. So what are we going to do now? We're going to do now what they call frequency separation. Okay, let me just close this so that I get a bigger What is frequency separation? Frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that helps you edit textures of an image separately and colors of an image separately. Basically, we are going to put the textures on their own layer and put the colors of an image into their own layer so that we get the ability to edit each and every element of the image in its own layer. Okay? Hope you're following. Say, comment with yes if you're following, if it really makes sense. Okay, so you come here and just duplicate this twice. Okay, and then you come, we're going to rename this colors, and then we're going to come here and rename this textures. Okay, so what are we going to do? So you just come and remove the eye icon from this, because remember, we're going to get all the texture that is in this picture in this particular layer and put them in this layer, and we're going to get all the colors that are in this particular layer and put them in this particular layer. Make sense? Awesome. Let's go into this. So you come select this particular colors layer. Remember to remove the eye icon. So you come here into colors, you click colors, and then you come and say filter, blur. You say Gaussian blur. So we are going to come and put it back to 0. So what do I do here? This is where I need your maximum attention. This is where most people mess up, because once you mess up in this step, your whole image is not going to come out. This particular step determines on how beautiful your image is going to look. Okay? So I need your maximum attention. Stop whatever you're doing and focus here. Hey, focus here. So you come here and we're going to look at what texture do we love the most. I think I love this particular texture here because I'm seeing the pores, I'm seeing everything. So I'm going to make sure that every texture I want to maintain in my final image, I make sure it is blurred out here. Okay? Yeah, because if we don't blur it out here, it won't reappear in the texture layer. So we just have to blur it out here. So you come and begin blurring out. So I blur it out in a way that I stop seeing until I don't see the texture no more. Let me zoom out a little bit. I think when I zoom out, I still see the texture. So I just come and still blur it out. Okay, that's too much. Yeah, I think that's good enough for me, really. Yeah, you don't have to take it overboard to blur it out in such a way that you don't recognize her. You blur it out in such a way that you see the skin has started smoothening. Okay? So you come in here and say, okay. So you come, make this layer visible, the topmost layer, okay? So now we're going to subtract the texture that we blurred out and transfer it into this texture layer, right? Okay, so you come here and say into textures, and then you come here and say image, you say apply image, yes, and then you come here and say, remember we said we are subtracting the texture, right? So you come here and say subtract, like that. Okay, so remember we are subtracting texture from the color layer. Remember the blurred texture, all the texture is blurred out from the colored layer. Now that is the texture we're going to pick. How are we going to pick it? You come here into the layer section here, and then you come and say colors. See what happens? So you're going to put your scale at 2 here and your offset at 128. Okay, that is what you're going to do. Leave the rest the way they are. Your image is supposed to be at 50% gray if you've put 128. Okay, so we are going to come here and say okay. So now guess what, we have done frequency separation. Yes, it looks weird, I know, but let me just show you something here. When you look at let me just come and put these in a group. But before you put these in a group, I'm going to first come here and change the blending mode. Yes? So you just come here and say linear light. And then I'm just going to put these in a group. Like that. So I'm just going to rename these frequency. Okay? Now, here we have 2 images. Yes, it sounds weird. Let me just show you the before and after. Look at, that's the before and that is the after. That is the before, that is the after. When you look at this, you see there is no change. There is nothing like change. You know why? Because this particular image is the same as the background image. The only difference between these two is that we have the textures, yes, separated from the colors. Okay, now these are the textures have been separated from this. Now look at it this way, that if it is a song, it is like having putting the instrumental on its own, say, CD, and having the vocals on their own CD. This is what we have done, but at the end of the day, it is the same song. Okay, if you're getting a lot of value from this particular video and you would want to buy me a cup of coffee, click the first link in the description below. Of course, I would be super grateful. Anyhow, let's continue. Now we have this. Now we're going to begin working on the actual image. What are you going to do first? Of course, you guessed right. You're first going to work on the texture layer, okay? So we're going to create a black and white help layer right on top. How do we do that? You just come here and say black and white. So what are we going to do here? We're just going to come and crush the reds so that we get all the textures that we want to get rid of right on top, like that. Yeah, this is just going to help us see the textures better. So what are we going to do? We're going to select this, yeah, the texture layer, and then we're going to get our spot healing tool, okay, and then we're going to come and, I'll press caps lock because I no longer see it so that it is visible. And then, okay, do you know why it is showing black? It's because, remember, we had select all layers, okay? So what do? We just come and remove the tick, and then we begin just picking out all these white dots. Like that. All these. All these white dots, and by the way, the spot healing, this is really a very, very long process, but we go through in the course that I've developed for you guys. I show you how to remove these white dots in a faster way, even without going through this tedious process. There are actions that I've made for you guys, especially to help you refine most of this stuff without going through this long process. Okay, look at this. Okay, so we remove all these particular pimples, all these. When you remove the black and white layer, of course, if we had time, we would have removed all these white dots and all this stuff. But of course, we are not going to take all that time. I don't want the video to be so long, okay? So let me just show you. So we shall, okay, I'll remove this as well. All these dark spots. Oh, remove all these particular, okay, and let me just remove these eye veins as well, all these. Anyhow, I think that is that about the texture layer. Of course, in the you can go extreme if you want it so neat. So you come here into colors. Now the colors, some people use the mixture brush, and others use the burning and dodging technique, but I prefer using the Gaussian blur on certain images. There are certain images where I choose to use the micro burning and dodging, but for this particular one, we are going to use the Gaussian blur. Why I use the Gaussian blur? The Gaussian blur gives me more precision when it comes to, you know, smoothing out the skin, while the mixture brush, you need to be a little bit of an artist for you to model, and it is like you doing sculpting, basically sculpting. You need to be a little bit of a fine artist to sculpt it in order for you to get it right always. But the Gaussian blur, the advantage it has is that it gives you more consistent results. Ready? Let's roll. So you come, let's put this, get your lasso tool, and then you're going to put this at 18, the feather, and then we're just going to come and begin selecting various parts here. You say filter, blur, and then we're going to begin blurring out here until, okay, look here, right here. You know, you blur out in such a way that you see the skin has started becoming smooth. Look at that. I don't want to take it overboard, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to take it overboard because I don't know whether you guys are seeing, you know, but you do a little bit. See, you don't want to do it in such a way that you take it that way and it becomes flat. Now this is flat, it is losing out on the contours. I don't want to lose on the contours, so I'm just going to come and just, you know, do it like that. So I just still come here on the this other side, and then press Ctrl Alt F to repeat the action. I still come and do the same in the forehead. Like that. I still come here, select over there, then still the same there. Over there. There. Now, this is where I don't want this. Now, when you look at this, it has flattened the nose highlight. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Alt Z to go back, and I'll just come here into filter and say blur, Gaussian blur, and then I just back it off a bit, and then I give it a very light blur because I don't want to lose out on the nose highlight really, yeah? So I still come here and do the same over here. Well, in the full tutorial, in the full course, I show you how to edit this lipstick in order for you to make it blend in and all that. We're not going to cover in this particular tutorial because, man, it would be too long, so long, yeah. But if you want to get into this whole thing, you make sure you get ready to sign up for that course. Really, it is going to be full of value. By the end of that course, actually you should be done with the course in 21 days. You're going to be one of the best retouchers, and the value of your images, the outlook of your images are just going to be top notch, you know. And man, you guys, I'm super excited. Like that. So now look at that, guys. Let me just show you the before and after. You know, look at that. That's the before and that's the after. That's the before and that's the after. When you look at this, the skin is not overly edited, and we still have her contours. Look at that. That's the before. That's the after. That's the before. That's the after. To recap this, when you're doing skin retouching and skin editing, you have to first of all do panel beating, general panel beating of the whole image. Then after, you come and do the frequency separation. Do not do frequency separation before you do the first panel beating. That can be really resolved, okay? And in the comments below, just tell me what exactly has resonated with you in this particular tutorial. That's that for today. I hope to see you in my next video.